So I'd like to start by reflecting on the first year of CASI's existence. We've come up to the first year's anniversary and sort of start by asking what you think the key achievements are, John, in that first year.
Well, thank you very much, Paul, for joining this conversation. As you know, CASI was launched a year ago at COP28, and you were there at the launch event. Our aim is to create a global platform for knowledge sharing and capacity building on sustainable finance, mainly for emerging markets and developing economies, by leveraging the resources and expertise of our members. At the time of the launch, we had about 40 members, and as of now, we have 67 members, which include 8 founding members and 59 Category B members, which are knowledge partners and distribution partners. We promised that we would deliver 4 learning programs under CASI. The first is to organize in-person events, which we now call CASI Forum. And second is to organize monthly webinar on special topics. And third one is to launch an online program, which is now CASI Academy. And under CASI Academy, we can allow students to participate on their own pace. And therefore, we can reach a much larger audience compared with the face-to-face learning. And also, we said we will do some TA work on an ad hoc basis. So CASI delivered on all of these targets as we promised a year ago. For example, on CASI Forum, we organized 4 major events, one in Brazil for Latin America, one in Hong Kong and Huzhou for the Asian audience, one in Doha for MENA, and more recently in Baku, Azerbaijan for the Central Asia and West Asia audience. So each time for the big forum, we bring like a few hundred people to one location for 2 to 3 days training on various topics. This is essentially covering the entire ecosystem of sustainable finance. On the monthly webinar, we started in February this year, and each time it's covering one topic, for example, market outlook, disclosure, taxonomy, transition finance, climate risk, and sustainable urban development. In terms of the online program, which we now call CASI Academy, we have launched 18 modules or 18 hours of contents at Baku. And in terms of TA work, we organized a workshop in Thailand for central bankers and financial institutions. And more recently, I led a team to Timor-Leste to help the country to design a green tourism plan, which will later lead to the green financing for its sustainable tourism infrastructure. So you see, the CASI team is fairly busy. We've been running all these activities, and the team has been growing from a few people about a year ago now to something like 15 people, including those working on admin, on events, on content development, and on communications.
I think it's incredible that what's been achieved in such a short time period. I mean, it's no small achievement to bring in 60 organizations, really many of the leaders in sustainable investment across all the key stakeholders who want to be part of what you're building and creating here. So I think that's been a great achievement, but perhaps the most significant achievement to me is this practical bias to action and the collaboration and the way you're pulling together all of these groups. And where do you see the learning opportunities going in the future through the CASI Academy? What's the future? You've achieved so much in the first 12 months. Where is the ambition going in the future?
As I just said, CASI Academy is, I think, the major initiative under CASI in the coming few years. We have already launched 18 modules, and we're planning to launch another 100 modules in the coming 2 years. So something like 50 in 2025 and 50 in 2026. In terms of contents, we have something on taxonomy, disclosure, products, policy, and carbon markets, but we're going to cover more on these topics. And we'll increase our exposure to issues like climate risk, carbon markets, transition finance, environmental impact assessment, and in particular, project origination. As I said many times that in developing country, the key bottleneck for sustainable financing is actually the lack of bankable green projects. For example, in some of the ASEAN countries, I've been told that 80% of projects presented to banks are not bankable. So in this area, we will be devoting a lot of resources on really developing usable contents. As for the technology we use, we are now using AI to convert the script into speech, and we can also switch between languages. So far, we have incorporated 4 languages, including English, Chinese, Arabic, French, and in the future we have 2 more, and we'll be giving options for the students to select from different accents, and even between male and female voices you can select. So a lot of work to be done, but the initial test among some members are quite positive. A lot of the potential users, including ICBC, Standard Chartered Bank, and a couple of insurance company brokers, and saying that yes, we like to use them for internal training. And once this trial use is done, we're going to really looking for ways to expand our coverage and reaching out to a much larger audience for the CASI Academy.
Yes, you had a stated ambition on your when you started out and still on the website to train 100,000 professionals by 2030 with a focus on emerging markets and developing economies. Do you still think that's achievable, or do you think you're going to surpass that? As you know, I have a belief that you're going to surpass that significantly, and particularly with the advances around AI and the progress made to date. So welcome your view on that.
I remember you said that almost a year ago, and more recently when we were in Baku, we had comments from experts saying that your target of reaching out to 100,000 people is too modest, and can you revise it up to something like 1 million? Well, I think, yeah, let's make sure we deliver our current targets, and maybe in 2 to 3 years' time we will have a better sense on how much we can exceed the target. But looks like the momentum is very good. We have just launched the 18 modules online, and we have 4 or 5 institutions wanting to use them for internal training, and we're reaching out to many more potential users. So once this period is passed, we begin to really advertise through lots of online channels, and because the marginal cost of operating CASI Academy or the online platform is much lower than the face-to-face learning program. So I do think we have a potential of seeing big acceleration in terms of the take-up.
And what tangible impacts do you think have been realized so far through the activities and milestones, particularly in the communities and sectors you aim to target? It would be good to hear a little bit about that.
Now, the impact assessment is a tricky issue, partly because the impact of our training capacity building is not entirely quantifiable. Some numbers are quantifiable. For example, I mentioned we are aiming to reach out to something like 100,000 clients, and in fact, year to date we have trained about 5,000 people already from about 50 countries and jurisdictions. Now these numbers are quantifiable, and also I said that our membership in terms of CASI membership has expanded from 40-something to 60-something, but I think the real impact is soft in a sense that it may raise awareness, may create a peer pressure on participants, which makes them work harder and more effectively on creating the sustainable finance ecosystem within their country. Just to give you a specific example, this year we held the CASI Forum in Huzhou, which is part of the Hong Kong Huzhou program, and we brought in like 100-something Asian participants, and many of them at the time of arriving, they said, we're doing pretty well in our country. We've been doing this for 5 years and 10 years, and they were not sure whether they can learn anything from Huzhou, which is a green finance pilot city in China. And after this 1.5 days in Huzhou, they're really, really impressed, because Huzhou now has a green loan ratio of 34%, which means that the green loans as percentage of total outstanding loans in the city is 34%, while in many other developing country emerging markets, the green loan ratio is only 3%. And representative from these countries, after the Huzhou trip, realized that there's so many things they need to catch up. And they asked so many questions on how Huzhou has coordinated their policies, how they created the incentives, and how to create a taxonomy, and how to build a e-platform for matching green projects with financing. So all of these things, I think, give them a great case study, which is in the same region in Asia, that they can learn, feeling like this is their peer rather than a very remote, example from OECD country. So this kind of awareness raising and peer pressure, I think, is becoming very, very useful. In fact, right after the Huzhou trip, some of the participants, especially the Malaysian, they said, please do another seminar like this in our country, and next year we'll host it. Now, just give you another example of how we actually generate interest in developing taxonomy. This is not a CASI event this year, but the events we did under the previous program called Green Finance Leadership Program back a few years ago, during which we had participants from Mongolia, from Kazakhstan, from Sri Lanka, Pakistan attending. And they learned that China has developed taxonomy. And then they came back to us saying, hey, Dr. Ma, can you find some experts to help us developing taxonomy after these seminars? And then we organized some of the TA, including for all of these few countries. And a few years later, all of them had taxonomies. And these taxonomies are largely based on the template which we give them, which really saved them a lot of time and energy in creating the this standard for laying the foundation for sustainable finance market. So as I said, these soft power building is less quantifiable, but certainly we will try to quantify them in the future because these are the numbers that the donors want.
Yes. Well, I mean, I was fortunate enough to attend the Huzhou event, and I thought the initial event in Hong Kong where we were was great for convening people, and people were very open to share ideas, and it was brilliant to bring people together and share knowledge. But the actual practical experience of visiting a case study where you could see this in action, you could see the material benefits, the financial benefits that had emerged, but also the tangible benefits to people, to the environment, alongside the economy, really brought this to life. So I think your imaginative approach, or showing people how adopting these policies can benefit all aspects of society and economy, really is powerful. And we're very proud to be part of creating a case study from that, which we can share across our membership and our societies, because there's huge interest in the activity. But it's when you can show that symbiotic nature between doing the right thing and getting superior financial outcomes that you have such a powerful argument for all these economies, and you provide them with a practical hands-on example in a market that's not dissimilar from theirs, that they can see we can do that, we can repeat that. So I applaud all the activity that you've done there. It was a great experience for me as well. I still relate back to it all the time. And you mentioned the CASI Academy earlier, and as an online learning platform with these diverse modules. Can you tell us more about who this platform is designed for and how the individuals or organizations can actually use it, please?
Yeah, maybe I'll go back to the Huzhou Hong Kong event a little bit, then I come back to the online platform. The difference between Huzhou and Hong Kong is that Hong Kong is a developed market. So most of the experience shared in Hong Kong are really about how to utilize the established markets. For example, there are taxonomy, there are disclosure requirements, and there are good models for product development. So it's a fairly sophisticated level of conversation. How to create a new innovative products within an ecosystem which is set up already, right? The key elements of ecosystem are there. And the Huzhou is different. It's more suitable for emerging markets, which are thinking about setting up the ecosystem with, for example, taxonomy, with the disclosure requirements, with some policies to encourage the innovation of the financial products. Then you can talk about financial products, right? So different stage will need a different kind of experience and knowledge And I think the Huzhou lag is really suitable for maybe half of the developing world, which are, at the earliest stage of green finance ecosystem development. Now, back to your question on the e-learning platform, which is called CASI Academy. Who are we designed this for? It's mainly for those students who can learn on a self-paced basis. For example, young people who want to be looking for a job in the financial sector, students, and maybe the junior, operator specialist within the financial system. They want to move on to sustainable finance linked jobs. And of course, the policymakers may be interested in some of our contents related to, rules and policies and standards and so on. But I think the majority of our learners on the e-learning platform will be young people. These people, may not be immediately impactful on policies, but I think it will be very important in enhancing the capacity of the entire ecosystem. We need lots of people really to work on different aspects of the green financial system. Just to give you an example of how many people is needed on green finance. For example, 10 years ago, when I began to work on the Chinese green finance policy, I consulted the China Industrial Bank, which was regarded as one of the pioneer in green financing because they started 20 plus years ago. At that time, China Industrial Bank was telling me that they had 200 specialists, which are hosted by the Green Finance Department. And recently, they come back and saying they want to train 10,000 people as green finance specialists within one bank. So this is how massive the demand is for training. Yeah. And this kind of training, 10,000 people, 100,000 people can only be done through online. Cannot be done, through face-to-face learning, which is so expensive, right? By flying out a few hundred people to one location.
It'll be interesting to see how the breakdown of the people taking the training changes over time. I suspect it will start more with students and young people, but there's a quest for knowledge across the whole spectrum. And unfortunately, there's a lack of knowledge across the whole spectrum from people in senior positions right through to the more junior. So our experience has been that the interest in sustainability comes really across the board from all sectors and all sort of age groups over time. And the lack of knowledge is equally as consistent across all those groups. So it'll be interesting to see how that evolves over time. And what would you consider the major milestones CASI's achieved in advancing its mission so far? And how do those milestones align with the organization's vision? I guess some of this relates back to the earlier points, but if you'd like to elaborate on that, that would be great.
Yeah, I think the milestones are largely requested by our donors, and we're putting targets such as how many participants we will cover, and how many countries we will cover, and how many certificates we will issue. So year to date, we have attracted 5,000 participants, and geographically we covered about 50 countries or jurisdictions, and we issued 900 certificates to those who attended our face-to-face learning program, mainly the forums. But going forward, as I said, the number of students will go up much faster because we are putting in place the CASI Academy. And also, I think we can see this as sort of a milestone is a couple of important recognition we received from institutions which are important in the global setting for sustainable finance. For example, we were invited by G20 Sustainable Finance Working Group to present on CASI experience of delivering capacity building services. And we were recognized as a global partner for capacity building by ISSB recently. And also over 1,400 media reports covered our CASI events. So all these are good numbers, but of course we'll have to work harder to further expand our profile in the sustainable finance community, especially in our target markets, emerging markets. So really, I hope CFA Institute, including yourself, can give us some advice on how to reach out to a much larger audience.
Yes, we're looking to leverage, as you know, with your events and also all of your activities, our extensive network globally with our 200,000 chart holders and 160 societies who are all keen to learn more and partner and understand about sustainable investment. So we're very excited to be partnering with you on that, and very excited to partner with you around the thought leadership and the innovation and the training that you're providing to drive really a very similar mission across our organizations. So I've got a tough question for you sort of at the end. So CASI's completed its first year, and you've achieved a lot, an incredible amount in 1 year. So what are the very standout achievements and initiatives that have defined this first year? I just want to focus on the very key achievements that you've managed to deliver this year.
For year one, I think we delivered on the targets, but year two need to grow much faster. And we need to overcome a couple of hurdles to really expand our profile and our contents. One is we need to develop contents in a way that's really relevant and useful for developing country emerging markets. Basically, what I'm saying is that we cannot cut and paste the traditional OECD textbook. We have to meet the demand in local contexts for those, especially just starting to set up the green financial system. So policy is very important, standards are important, disclosure requirements are important. We will be gradually moving towards more sort of contents and products over time. And the second thing is really about expanding our client base. As I just asked you, how CFA Institute may be able to help. You said you have a huge network, which we can utilize and leverage. But at the same time, we need to use our other members' network also more efficiently, because we have like 67 members now. Each of them is fairly significant. For example, one big bank, may have internal staff member of 100,000, and they have a lot of clients, right? So this multiplier factor should be more sort of fully utilized to reach to a larger client base. And the third thing is that we need to continue to work on finance, meaning we got a lot of donor support already, including from our founding members, but more money, the better. And with a stronger financial report, we can expand our contents more quickly. And also, spending money on advertising, on our AI, techniques, and on identifying the right audience.
So as the 1 year anniversary, I think you've achieved all the things you set out to do. You're always looking to achieve more, but I think you should pause for 1 second to recognize you've assembled an incredible team. You've achieved things much more quickly in a pragmatic way since inception than perhaps could have been expected in reality. And whilst you've got big ambitions for the future, I applaud everything that you've achieved so far. And I just want to sort of close with asking you, Dr. Ma, whether there's any final comments you want to make.
Just like to take this opportunity to thank all the members of CASI, including CFA Institute, for supporting us in the past year, and looking forward to further collaboration with all members. And on actually two sides. One is on content development, which means that we need to source more contents from our capable, knowledgeable members. And secondly, in terms of market development, we need to utilize your network more effectively to reach out to a bigger audience. So collectively, I think we can make CASI the most influential capacity building platform for developing country emerging markets and contribute to the global climate agenda.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. It's great.
Thank you.